For more on all of the goings on, we are going to welcome in our political panel now. We have Democratic strategist David Carlucci and NewsNation political contributor Denise Gitsham, also a former White House aide during the Bush administration, we should mention. Welcome, both of you. Denise, I do want to start with you this evening. We heard President Trump there not ruling out the possibility of a recession this year. How much could that harm the country, and what's its impact on Trump politically?
It was interesting. I watched that interview this morning, and it felt like he was a bit caught off guard by some of the questions that Maria was asking, which generally I expected to be a more friendly one. But she was very direct, and I'm sure that his misstatement, it almost felt like he was caught off guard in a moment where he just didn't want to say anything about what he thought was going to happen. Had to get cleaned up later by, I think you saw some members of his administration saying, "Oh, hold on, there's not going to be a recession. Don't worry about it." So, I don't know what happened in that moment, but it certainly didn't inspire confidence in the American people. That's for sure.
Yeah, David, this trade war, meanwhile, the U.S. is now involved in, will keep going. Where does it end?
Yeah, good question. I think this is something that Trump did not campaign on. We did hear about tariffs, but this is the problem, the lack of clarity coming from the president. If we understood what this pain was all about, why we've now provoked a trade war with our allies and every other nation on the globe, economists are expecting a recession. Economists are expecting prices from all consumer goods, energy, gasoline to go up. And then you have just the unclear politics and policy coming from the White House. You have department heads, you have secretaries that are confused, bewildered, and don't understand the strategy, the plan. And it looks to people like myself and others around the country that there is not a plan, that it's slash first, ask questions second. And that's already led to some major problems here in the United States and around the world.
Denise, I do want to turn to the drama in the Oval Office this past week. Reports of that clash between Elon Musk and Marco Rubio and other cabinet members as well over the Doge cuts. The White House is downplaying this incident, but what do you make of the report that Trump ultimately sided with Rubio over Musk during that spat?
Think Trump realizes that he needs Rubio. Rubio is the only member of his cabinet that got unanimous bipartisan support. He's the guy who knows how to operate in the Beltway, and people like him. And they trust him more than they trust a lot of the folks that Trump has brought in from the outside. So while Trump sided with Rubio, who has a much harder job, let's face it, than Musk, he didn't blast Musk publicly either, because he needs both of them to get done what he wants to get done without taking all the heat for what's happening himself.
Yeah, David, the Health and Human Services Department preparing to offer much of its staff $25,000 buyouts. Indication big cuts could be coming to that agency. What impact would the job losses have at HHS for the average American?
Well, it'll just be devastating. I know firsthand from my work in the New York State Senate and locally how we depend on health and human services. So for so many different issues, particularly when you have something like a measles outbreak that we see happening right now around the country. I've experienced that in my home community that I represented years back. And it's a real crisis where you need professionals on hand to make sure that not only the life-saving medicine and vaccines are being distributed, but also the information is properly disseminated. And that's where so much of this confusion coming from the White House, coming from Health and Human Services right now, just leads to so many problems down the road that are preventable. And that's the problem. If we understood where is this fraud and abuse, where is the efficiency going to come from, then we would be excited and we would applaud these measures. But the Trump White House cannot tell us that. They're talking about cuts only for the sake of cuts, not about efficiency, not about improving the lives of Americans, only about saving some money or firing people. And we don't even understand the criteria. Elon Musk is not the person that should be in charge of this. In fact, if we look at Tesla and we talk about earnings per employee, they're far below the revenue that GM and Ford brings in and other stocks that are on the S&P. They're about half of what the efficiency per employee is compared to these other countries. So it's kind of interesting that they have Elon Musk, who doesn't even do it for his own company in terms of efficiency per employee. Now he's just cutting for the sake of cutting, And we've already seen so many mistakes and bungles from these actions already. And we're not even to the second month of his presidency, and we already have major problems looming here on shore and abroad.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.